On today's episode of The Truth About Beer and...
Whoa. I don't know if that's Temp, but something just manifested in the cage.
Warning. Viewer-listener discretion is advised. The majority of the content of this program is not fact-checked. It is highly advised that it not be used for teaching your children from said content, other than making an example out of the hosts of what they should not grow up to be. Remember this. It's the beer talking.
Welcome to The Truth About Beer.
All the crap that we're interested
all
in.
the crap that we're interested in. I'm Keith Davidson.
I'm Papa Joey Stay.
I'm Tim Rice.
Searching for the truth.
Exploring the unexplained. Investigating the paranormal. Subscribe now.
Hit the alert button.
Hit the alert button so you don't miss an episode. Welcome to The Truth
About Beer.
and...
Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Episode 210.
Wow.
10 episodes in.
That's crazy.
That is
Terror.
nuts.
Well, it's Truth About Beer and...
Terror in Payson.
Payson. Are we talking about the gorge?
The whole trip. It was a trip of terror.
It was a trip of terror.
Strawberry terror.
That's
sounds
true.
Like, that
It was
sounds
up
like a
in-
bad ice cream.
It does, doesn't it? That's not Ben and Jerry's.
That's not Ben and Jerry's.
Strawberry terror. It's like a lipstick. Or fingernail polish.
Big Halloween flavor. Strawberry terror.
Strawberry terror.
So yeah, we originally set out to search for the Mogollon Monster.
We did. That was the whole plan.
How'd that work out?
There were just too many people. Everyone had just gotten released from quarantine and just too many people.
Yeah.
There were thousands of cars on the way up there. So that kind of put a stop to our Bigfoot adventure.
And it probably didn't help that it was 100 degrees down here in the valley either, because everyone wanted to get the hell out of here.
Everyone was there.
So,
I think
yeah.
everybody was with us.
I think so.
And I did get my head burned up there.
You did.
So that's why I couldn't shave yet, because I'm peeling. Let's see, did you see that? It was like
It's like snow.
snow. So
So what are we drinking? We got
this is a Lagunitas.
Lagunitas. We got our new Truth About Beer koozies. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Good stuff. I haven't
And I
really
will use
studied
this
much.
every day. I will use this every day. Every day. Don't let that worry you.
That means you drink a lot of beer.
Yes.
Not such a bad thing.
I live on beer.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a good. It's a. I guess. Well, is it?
It's
Lots of
healthy.
nutrients.
It's
Yeah.
healthy.
I wouldn't say it's part of the 4 food groups, but pretty close.
It's its own food group.
It's its
own
I
food
mean,
group.
it's
I think the alcohol prevents like bacterias and viruses and stuff. And the hops and the barley and the wheat And the not schnapps.
Hops.
Hops. I said schnapps.
Schnapps.
And the hops, that's all healthy for you.
Yes, it is.
It's everything that should be in cereal.
And more.
And more.
So we started down this road, which we were hoping to end up down by the river.
Fossil Creek.
Isn't that
Road.
a song? Down by the river?
Down by the river. In a van by the river.
In a van by the river. And we got about, a couple miles in on the road and came to a sign.
Dead stop.
Yeah.
A very, very
Ominous sign, I thought.
very determined do not go past here sign.
Yeah. Complete with
Sheriff's Department, Forest
tape.
Department,
Police tape, yeah.
police tape, do not enter.
But that didn't stop us.
No way. We went right through that police tape. The iron was just too thick. We went through the police tape. I walked through the police tape. These guys kind of like
went
somebody
under.
else
Yeah.
broke through it.
I'm fatter than you, so I needed the exercise, so I figured I'd walk up the hill and around. So
On the way walking down this hill, we're just hiking, not really looking for anything. We're just exploring. I walk over to the edge. Well, I don't know who did it first or whatever, but I walked over. When I walked over, I looked straight down and I saw about 10 vehicles. Within about a mile path, half mile.
Yeah, maybe.
From the beginning.
From the gate.
It's hard to tell when it's that far down.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
lots
you'd
of
say
cars.
at least 100 feet or more down.
The drop?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was easily 100 feet. Yeah.
And I said, dude, there's got to be spirits here. There's got to be spirits here. And I don't know how it got started.
Also, then I broke out the old ghost tube.
Ghost tube.
Yeah.
So it was
And
your
fired it up.
Anybody down in here? I was expecting cowboys and Indians.
But we didn't get cowboys and
No.
Indians.
No, we didn't.
So that was the first name that came out was Alexis.
And sad and abused. And Alexis, talk to us.
Lady.
The lady? We got that a lot in the cemetery
Did you?
yesterday.
That's Allison.
Allison's here. She knows you're here. Can you talk to her?
She's afraid of her dad.
You afraid of your dad?
So, kind of discuss the story that we received there within about 5 minutes.
Well,
Or your
there was a lot.
interpretation of it.
There was a lot happening in that story.
A lot, very quickly.
Yes, we had a lot of words come through. Was it said hung and
Pushed,
pushed?
Tortured?
tortured, framed.
Her mom and dad were divorced.
Who is he?
She's asking
That's
who
Tim.
she says her mom and dad are divorced. She's here. Her dad's. I don't know, that heavy feeling is.
Why did you come?
We just came to tell you that we understand that you're trapped here and we want to help you. This is what I do. We mean no harm. We just want to talk and make you feel at peace.
Robert.
Robert.
Abused.
Robert abused Alexa.
Where's Robert, the
that?
brother?
Don't come in.
Okay.
Robert, your brother?
Follow you.
No, you can't follow us. Just tell us what happened. We know you were abused. Was it by Robert?
Brother.
Your brother abused you? Wow.
That was mine.
Is Robert your brother?
Coming to get you.
Nobody's coming to get you. You're
Table. Hello.
Oh.
Thanks for talking with us.
Jordan. Push.
Jordan pushed you off the cliff here? Was Jordan your dad?
She's referring to Jordan.
Jordan pushed her and her brother off the car. They pushed the car off and then left.
She may just be trying to connect.
Did Jordan push you and your brother off the cliff and then leave you?
Is your car down there at the bottom?
Strong.
Did the dad abuse your brother and was strong and pushed him over the edge?
It's like 6 of them. They just walked him over the hill.
Who?
We're trying to figure out who.
You tell me who. Who pushed you guys over the edge?
Hot.
Be careful.
Hot, be careful. That's okay, we're not afraid.
Did you fall or were you in a car?
Close.
Close.
Close to the edge.
Close, yes.
Framed.
Are you here?
Framed.
You were framed? It was alright, so it made it look like an accident?
No. How old are you?
I'm 55. Can you tell me what happened?
I'm lost.
I know you're lost. We're trying to help you. Can you give me more information?
How old are you?
Mother.
Is your mother still looking for you?
Really?
Wow.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Was that you?
I'm lost.
I know you are. We're trying to help you.
Yep.
It was that car. Put other people up on the top throwing rocks.
Did you make that noise?
I heard glass.
Yeah.
Pray.
We will pray. Can we pray for you now? Will you talk to us?
So here's what I'm getting at the end of it. Here's what I'm getting. And you may or may not agree with me, but it appears to me like a father had his children. Maybe he had kidnapped them from the mother. Maybe he was out with them and there was something just went haywire. He brought them out here to this cliff. He had them in the car. He got out of the car and sent the car over the cliff and murdered the children. Now, I know that sounds weird, but from all of the hints we were getting, it was very, very... It was suspect.
Yeah.
There was it was a murder. They said murdered,
Yep.
hung, pushed, abused, tortured.
You know, at one point it did say shot, and that's when Alice and I were talking. Where one thing came through after it came through, I suggested that maybe he shot them first, and to cover up the murder, he pushed the car off the cliff with the kids in it.
We could go anywhere with this.
No, you're right. You're right. We could.
It's all feasible. I mean, there was so much information so quick that my mind was just going crazy. It's like, wow, they drove off the cliff. It was an accident. No, they were pushed off the cliff. No, they were murdered and thrown off the cliff. I keep saying cliff with a T. No, but I'm not buying accident.
No, I didn't get that from that either.
Yeah.
So,
But a lot of those cars at the bottom had to be
some
by accident.
Some could have been by accident,
Oh,
but the ones we were dealing with were definitely suspicious foul play.
Yeah.
Where the names were coming through.
Where the names are coming through. We got it was a girl and her little brother. And I think, was it Mike? No. Who was her little brother's name? Roger?
I remember Robert coming through.
I thought Robert was the father that did all this bad stuff, but I could be wrong. Robert could have been her little brother. I don't know who the guy is that pushed him off the cliff, but it just very, very weird how it all just came about.
Well, after we got home, I was really intrigued, and I started researching accidents in Fossil Creek, and cars going over the ledge. And there were several stories, and believe it or not, one of the stories I came across was teenage girls. They went over the cliff.
That's why we kept getting Tiffany and
could be, yeah.
We got lots of names.
We got lots of girls' names.
And would you know they all survived?
Did they?
They walked away from the accident.
Yeah, the one that was pinned, one was ejected and pinned under the vehicle. And once they got her free, she only had scrapes and cuts. I mean,
at the very bottom of that.
Yep.
Yeah. I know, that's hard to believe. So out of the 2 that you sent me, only 1 fatality.
Right.
So there were 2 in the other car.
Yep.
And one of them did get fatally injured.
They did say with the teenage girls, though, that they did find a 6-pack in the back of the car. So there was alcohol involved in that one. But
yeah, so they were limber,
Yeah.
That's why they survived.
That's why they survived. Not that we're condoning drinking and driving, because we're not at all.
I'm just saying, if you don't want to get hurt.
I would say that those 2 stories have got to be...
That's very strange. Did you find any on the other ones that were as far as fatalities? Or
could not.
Well, I think some of those are really old.
Well, they were very old.
Yeah. Which I think the Alexa... that's kind of what I felt on that one. The Lexus and Robert... was a really old story. I think she's been trapped there a long time.
Yeah.
What's interesting is some of the vehicles had tires still there, like white walls, and some of them just had the drums, like you could tell that the whole thing had just burned up. The one with the white wall and the tire, I zoomed in and took a couple pictures of that. It was pretty interesting looking at it. It was definitely not new, but it was just creepy because it's like a tire was all that was left. Everything else was just gone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been looted or raided or...
That would be hard to get down to the bottom and
haul
people
have
stuff
been
back
down
up
there because they've brought them up.
Okay, but let's think about this too. Is that the head of the river there? So that cliff where we were, does that turn into a waterfall when the rains come? Does it, because it could have been, parts could have been washed away with water flow. It could have been,
It's a beautiful canyon, by the way.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've got a rappelling rope.
Belay.
I'd love to go down there and look. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, it just went crazy there for a little bit, and then we went back up to the top and started asking her questions, and she fell at this one spot, and then I don't know, was it one of you, or no, who was it? Started getting a bad feeling about this one spot, and we walked over, and it said higher, and we walked up higher, and then all the names started coming out about...
Oh, that was when you and Lindsay were on the other side.
Lindsay.
Yeah, right.
And then we started sending flowers to her.
Right.
And then all of a
that
sudden...
was Allison that was kind of
and
dictating what was going on our side.
Yep.
She says, I'm down here. I'm like, wow. And we talked to this person, and we kept getting a lot of abuse. For a minute, we were thinking somebody like jumped off and killed themselves, but I'm led more to believe that there was foul play. But when she was done, she said goodbye, and it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got to try out a new piece of equipment.
Yes, we did.
Put together, and it was the conditions were a little too windy there, but we did try it and it worked really well and picked up some rock sounds that we threw far, far away from the source. And
Lindsay and I found something when we first took it back up the road.
mm-hmm.
I decided, you know what? We set this thing facing over the canyon. I'm going to shout hello. Well, first I had her do it. I had Lindsay do it. She shouted hello. And all of a sudden this noise came back. Like it wasn't our echo. And I can't figure out what the heck it was. We'll play it so you guys can listen to it.
They answered it?
But it wasn't even like an answer. It was just a weird noise that came back, but it was right after the hello. So I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, let me try it again. So I did it, and same thing. Something came back.
Yeah, what?
Hello.
Hello? What was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I know you heard that.
What was that? Hello? And that was it. That was the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. I got excited for a minute because I thought maybe we were back on the Bigfoot track, but
But the whole thing was exciting because for what'd you pay for the dish?
$4.99 for the dish at Walmart. Thanks to Walmart.
And we have those available for $199.99.
Yes, you can make your own parabolic microphone, and it works quite well.
It worked quite, I was walking back up the hill, and I said, you guys stay here. I'm going to walk back up. And so as I was walking back up with my back to you guys, I'm like, so I'm walking right now, and I'm telling about the story. And I was a good 50 yards away when I whispered, I said, hey, if you guys can hear me, raise your hand. And I looked behind me, and I was at least 50, 75 yards away. And they raised their hand. I'm like, oh, wow, that's very good. Because first of all, I'm not even pointed at them. And I'm walking away uphill with wind blowing. So I got about another 50 yards up to the gate.
That was the best.
And I took a little rock, and I tapped on it. And I said, if you guys can hear this, raise your hand. I looked around, and both their hands are in there. I'm like, you've got to be kidding
It sounded just like you were tapping it right next to us.
It was right in front of us. Yeah.
Just, I think the higher frequency of the sound of the metal, I guess, came through more. But I'm like, no, really, do you hear this?
Yeah, we heard it clear as day.
God, that's just amazing.
That was crazy.
That was at least a football field away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And then we still heard you once you got around the barricade.
And then I said, honey, say hi to the guys. And she goes, where are they? But I don't know if you heard her. She was in the car.
That
we couldn't make out what was being said, but we still hear the chatter.
Yeah, you hear noise.
Just amazing. So if you guys are interested in putting together something like that, contact Joey.
So for people who don't know what a parabolic microphone is, Joey, can you explain what a parabolic mic is? Because there's probably a lot of people scratching their heads out there. Going,
what the heck is that? Well, if you've watched any football, you'll see the dudes on the sidelines carrying these big plastic dishes. And because of those, you can hear every noise out on the field, so when they're in their huddles and that, you're still hearing just like you're almost right in the huddle with them because they're using this dish. So it's a source that, it's big enough that all the sound coming towards it kind of bounces off it. And since it's a dish, it follows the dish. And then in the middle of the dish, you have a microphone facing inward.
Right.
And so it picks up all that stuff that comes around. So instead of just picking up a little piece of it, like if this was the microphone, picking it up from the front, you've got this sound bouncing off of something like me, and the microphone's facing me, and it's coming back to it. So
it's a reflection.
There you go. That's a good word.
Rebounding reflection sound, and it's also like selective targeting. You can point it at a certain direction and hear from that particular direction. So it's not like you don't hear everything behind you. It's targeted recording sound via nanotechnology.
So if you saw our live feed from Serendipity, what we're going to talk about is going to be kind of like the Reader's Digest version of that live feed. So you'll get all the highlights and hopefully feel a little scared.
Experience what we experienced.
Yeah.
A little creepy.
Yep. So, so Lindsay and I had gone up the night before, and per Tim's request, Tim said, "Hey, why don't you guys scope out some antique stores?" Because we were talking about, we got on the top of antiques for some reason, but so we did. We went down on Main Street, found Serendipity, which was the antique store, and we just wanted to check out, see what kind of cool stuff they had. They had a lot of cool stuff in there, and talking to the owner, all of a sudden we got on a paranormal topic, and she said that the little girl that was in there would talk to a spirit that was there continuously. So we looked at each other and went,
Imagine that.
So we kind of told her what we were doing, and she said, "Hey, come back tomorrow night and come check it out." We're like, "Okay, we'll do that." So that's where we ended up after the river.
I really wasn't sure what we were going to get, but wow, turned out
It was crazy.
There's some evil there.
Yeah.
I think we all had an experience. Well, especially Lindsay and Allison.
Yeah.
Especially Allison.
And Lindsay. Well, they were both quite physically, affected. But it was a dark. The owner guy says he wouldn't go back in that room. Or some people that go into that place refuse to go back into that room. The minute we all got to that back door, you could just feel that it wasn't energy. It was just dark. It was heavy, dark, sad. Somebody was not very happy.
Right.
You could just tell that something was wrong. And we walked in and went into the closet, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And you just, I don't know how to describe it. It's a man. He doesn't like anybody coming back into that room. I don't know how long he's been there. We were trying to think, because we'd heard the stories about, the 44 people the shootout with the Indians and everything just across the street or down the street. So I was trying to figure out whether it was like a cowboy or old, or if it was more recent. He was just angry. He was very angry. And he had me convinced that there was a basement or tunnel under where we were. And I think that closet was either where somebody was held captive or tortured, or is a portal to another spot.
Right.
I mean, that's my three guesses.
9.
N-U-N.
Still be recording.
Drown.
That's the second time. Were you drowned in a tunnel? There is no basement. Is there a tunnel?
There's the ground.
Worship.
Okay, we're mapping Tim.
What did he say? Instagram is super
Worship.
amazing. Worship.
Donald. Walter.
You already told me about Donald and Walter. Are they here, or are they the ones that hurt you?
And then Allison came in, and she was affected right away. She was, oh yeah, he's in here. So she got in there, and she lost all of her energy and just went down to the ground and started kneeling on the ground. And she said, he's right behind me. And within just a few minutes, she goes, my back is stinging really bad. I'm like, well, she goes, I think he's touching me. And then we didn't know. After she came out, she lifted up her shirt, and she had huge scratch marks on her back.
Well, after she said she was scratched, we fired up the SLS, and I pointed it right toward that closet, hoping to catch something to see what was behind her. And I didn't catch anything behind her, but we did catch on that bird cage looking thing that was sitting in front of us.
Ralph.
You keep telling me these names. Are these people that hurt you?
Whoa. I don't know if that's Tim, but something just manifested in the cage.
Oh my God.
In the cage?
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys see this? The orb just went by again.
Are you in the cage?
Let me try to get that.
I can't move, unfortunately.
It was right behind you.
You guys see
Still
that
right on the
the
cage.
Something's moving. Something's in that cage. You guys see that?
And the K2's going as well.
There's something behind. He's in the cage. He's behind the cage.
Move the chain again.
You keep hearing it in the corner?
It's in here.
It's in there.
It's in there?
Yeah.
I keep hearing it on the wall.
Rituals.
Okay.
Tim, sit back again.
Can you come sit in this chair?
Blood.
Can you move from behind the cage?
Oh, it's gone.
Something moved past there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she was saying that it was kind of going between that room and kept going in and out.
Right.
And we kept getting table.
Yeah.
We kept getting table, basement, table, basement. It was weird, but this little cage sitting right in the middle of it was affected. And at one point I looked down and the chain on this thing was just swinging. And I saw it swinging and I didn't say anything. I mean, I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, it didn't hit me. I'm like, guys, are you seeing this? And by the time they looked at it, it wasn't swinging as much, but it was swinging.
Yeah. I don't know if that picked it up or not, but I did try to film that.
And I searched for air and breezes, and no, this thing was totally swinging. And he swung it for quite a while.
No, that room was still. It was stuffy in there. It was there was no air movement in that room. Yeah. And what's interesting is that room isn't even really part of the store.
It's
like
a storage for
so
some guys that do street shows.
Oh, is that what they use it for?
Yeah, they do some sort of Payson shootout or street show or something, and they'll all those guys store their props and everything there. So nobody really goes in there at all. Nothing
except for
belongs,
props.
except
the prop master.
The prop master, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And then we were at one point we were all out, and he poked his head around, and we could see his head poking around. And so I took a K2 meter and I walked over and put it on the shelf right by that room. And right in front of me, and I'm telling you, I was not near that thing. There was a train whistle, just kapoom, right in the doorway.
Sorry.
I heard it. That's why I asked if you dropped.
Please tell y'all.
I put this K2 meter right here, and I heard it hit the ground. I'm like, what was that? There's nowhere it could have fallen from.
What is it?
It's an old whistle, like a railroad whistle.
But it broke.
Yeah, it fell and broke. That's what that think was when he walked over here. So let me show everybody.
Are you back in here?
He's in there. Here's.
Fell. Was it already broken?
It was already broken. They said they ended up saying that one piece had already been broken off there. They just kind of set it in there, I think.
Oh, so yeah, because I wanted to go back and look at what footage I shot in there, see if I could find where that was at before it ended up in the walkway there, right in the doorway.
There was a table right there, and on the side of the table is the doorway.
Right.
And I put the K2 meter like right here on the table, and as I did, I heard something hit the ground. I'm like, what was that? Did anybody else hear that?
I didn't hear it. I just heard you say that was in your way.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it fall. Yeah, because I think I even replied, "What the heck was that?" I think I said, "Tim, what'd you knock over there?"
Yeah, and I thought I knocked something over, but after looking at it, I'm like, my feet were nowhere near the door entrance.
But when you go back and you look at the videos and you look at that table, there was a solid side on that table.
Yeah,
so it was either leaning up against it, which I didn't see the whole
Which
night.
I wasn't near.
Right. So that's just weird.
Yeah. It was very strange. Very strange. And then we put the K2 meter over on the side, and man, it just lit up like fire for quite a while. And, as far as objects, I really don't think we had that much encounter with any objects there, which what I was expecting in the first place.
Yeah. No,
like the old skillet from 1908 or the old, the little train, or I expected objects to kind of like move and get something from the objects, but none of that happened. I was very surprised.
Well, I haven't tested the device that I brought home from there, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get the K2 on that.
No.
I took the K2 all the way around that whole room. I didn't go into the other front part of it.
Yeah.
But the area where we pretty much hung out all night.
Right.
Went around the whole room with the K2, just trying to see if I could find anything, and got no spikes anywhere on any of the
Just
items
that
in there.
one part of the table.
Yeah, and the only thing about that part of the table is the conduit runs exactly right over the top of it.
But then all of a sudden, it said goodbye or stopped, and there was nothing else.
And the conduit's 6 feet away.
Yeah,
above. And again, it stopped.
Right.
I guess what the point might be, though, is if there is a little, EMF coming off of that, it could be the area where the entity likes to hang out because
Feed off of it.
He can feed off of
Yeah,
it, and so
yeah. Yep.
so even though it's way up there,
It was drawing a lot of attention to a suitcase right under the table that was empty. At one point, Lindsay put the K2 up to the suitcase, and it went
Spiked.
complete red. Mm-hmm. And we pulled the suitcase out, and of course, there was nothing in the suitcase. We thought maybe it had been electronics or something, but all of that, with the conduit and down below under the table, getting a reading, completely away from the conduit, and between all of that, and then all of a sudden it just coming to an end was very, very interesting.
Right.
I mean, I can chalk it up to, it could have been wiring and conduit, but it reacted differently. It wasn't consistent.
Well, but like Joey said it feeds off of that
Right.
electricity that's there in that conduit. And, that's where Lindsay had her attachment. So he may have drained all the energy at that point and was done. You know what I mean? And that's why when he said goodbye, that was it. It was
And when we turn off the lights, there's residual electricity in those wires.
Right.
So it can wear off.
Yep.
And maybe he gained that energy from that conduit, and then after he gained it all and after it was drained, it was gone. But there's constant electricity being run to the outlets and everything.
Right.
It's just a question of off and on. So it doesn't make sense that it was the spiking and then it going away and the spiking and going away. So I would have to say the K2 is not acting specifically on the conduit.
No, but that's...
But the conduit was a conduit to... That's funny.
It was truly a conduit.
that's where he plugged in plugged himself in.
Yeah.
But we did get some cool EVPs.
Mm-hmm. Got some very interesting stuff on there.
A lot of knocking.
Yeah, a lot of sounds.
Yeah.
It's an old building. It could be settling or blowing or wind. But it was strange. It wasn't normal, like creaking, squeaking, joist moving. It was It was like knocking. It was like intentional.
And it wasn't timed. It wasn't... See, I was going to blame it on the refrigerator because the refrigerator was right there. But like my fridge at home, when that damn ice maker goes off, it's constantly ticking. It's constantly making a noise. It's repetitive. This was not. This was at different times where that knock came about.
And it was also away from the refrigerator.
Right.
It was not directly from the refrigerator because when I looked up and heard the noise, it came up high around the ceiling, not the refrigerator. Were you tortured in this cage?
Oh.
Don't stand up, Tim. I'm right behind you.
Hold. Move the chain again. Move the chain again. Move the chain again.
How?
Use your energy.
Scratch.
Scratch.
So one of the things that I found interesting, and I'm still trying to figure out in my head why this happened, But at the point where we were over by that table where we were getting all the K2 spikes, you know, when Lindsay started feeling her attachment, she took this breath, and I swear I heard a growl.
I heard it from across the room.
Right. But the funny thing is, I had my recorder going, and I had my IR camera going. When you listen back there on the recorder, which to me should have a stronger microphone, you hear more of the spirit box going off, and you can barely hear the growl. But when you watch the IR film that I did, you hear the growl. You can hear it over everything. And to be audible enough for everybody to hear it, that's pretty loud.
Yeah.
In your stomach? In your stomach? In your stomach? I heard like a growl. I heard that.
I thought it was her. No.
That's not you breathing.
No. There was a growl over there. It's very thin. I didn't hear the growl.
Did anybody else hear that growl?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we all heard it over here.
It was interesting. We had a couple of callers call in and say, "Hey, there's lights flashing on the wall." And I'm looking. I'm like, "No, that's the headlights of the cars driving by." Because every time a car drove by, the window would make a glare on the wall. And I think my daughter was one of them, and then I think Wendy was one of them, or somebody else. And they're like,
My
"No,
mom
no, no,
was
no,
one
no,
too,
no."
yeah.
Your mom. They're like,
Yep.
"No, no, no, no. We see the headlights.
Right.
That's not what this
Right.
is." This is completely different. My daughter was adamant that it would, because we'd been sitting there watching and watching and watching. You could see every time the car went by, you could see the movement of the light. But she said this is not what it was. It was a appearing light, and then it went away. It was not moving. It was stationary, and it kept coming into focus right behind us on the wall, and it was higher up than where the headlights had been flashing. So that was interesting. And we
Unfortunately,
got
I don't think we
three
caught that.
people.
Yeah, but
we
I
had
don't think
three
we caught it
people
on the
that saw
camera.
that on live footage. So.
Well, what I kept thinking there was a picture on the wall. If you saw that picture, it had a glass cover over it, and I thought it was just a reflection off of that. That's what they were seeing off of the window behind us, but apparently that's not what it was.
They at least Wendy and Morgan said, no, that is not what that was.
Right.
There was a light that appeared stationary, not moving, and then it slowly went out. I didn't see any of that, and I don't know how to recreate that.
Well, if they saw it, it's got to be on our live feed, so we need to go back to our
Yeah,
live feed
let's
and
go
check
back
that
and look
out.
at that.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
You just see it on a big screen. Huh?
But
Yeah.
I'm glad people are paying attention to stuff like that too. That's very cool, because we don't always see everything that's going on in there. So,
Well, you know, the thing is, you get so hooked up in the moment. You get so involved with what's going on, and I think it's very easy to miss stuff. Very easy, because you're listening
It's
for maybe
it's
something
overwhelming.
specific, and you don't catch other things. That's why it's good to have, you know, more eyes on it.
Yeah.
You see different things and hear different things. That's, you know, in video he says you can't just go off of one piece of equipment. You have to use multiple pieces of equipment. So I think we're getting better at that as we go, and I think we're getting more evidence because of that.
yes.
So and that works out kind of good.
And there may have been something that you could see through the camera that we didn't necessarily see
True.
live.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that could have been one of them. But that was very interesting.
And thank goodness Allison had her sage with her.
Yes, we had to save that place.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a very good idea, because there was a lot of juju there I didn't want to bring back.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, it took her quite a while to let go. How'd she do after?
She was good after that last time out in the parking lot, and that's never happened before. I mean, we had her, you know, Oracle, we had her in Gila. Nothing ever happened like that. That's the first time for that.
Something latched onto her.
Well, and the way she described it to me, we were talking about it last night, because I said, "What did you feel?" Because I get, you know me, I get frustrated because I never feel this stuff. So I'm like, "Grr, what do you feel?" So she was telling me it feels like somebody's just sitting here pushing up, you know, under your rib cage, and on the back they're just pushing at this. It just feels like a heavy pressure, and she was having a hard time breathing. That's why she kept trying to take deep breaths.
And she had her arm straight out, like something was holding her arm.
Well, she said she felt like somebody was just barely touching the back of her arms when she was standing there.
And
in
she
front
couldn't
of the
make
camera.
it stop, and it was really
Right.
freaking her out.
Yep. Yeah,
And then Allison took the sage and put it all around there, and eventually, it took a little while for it to let go.
Yeah, yeah. And Joe, you and I were talking, and you didn't think that was Dennis. You thought it was maybe. Just
Well, I don't think Dennis is the
there.
dark
Mm-hmm.
person there. I think I'm not sure who that dark person is, but
then we did get the story from the owner about Dennis and Diane. Diane being the child.
Denise,
yeah,
being the child, and
he had two sons too.
I don't remember the story he told.
Wasn't there a Walter?
Was there Walter? I think you just like that name, Walter.
Sure was a Walter.
There might have been, yeah.
I think there were Richard and Robert too.
we got a ton of names that day. We really did.
It was overwhelming, man. Tiffany, Elizabeth, Angelica.
But what makes me wonder is I did some research, actually for the next part we're going to talk about. So in that same day, the owner of the antique store said, "Hey, have you guys checked out the graveyard?" And we're like, "Graveyard? Oh, what graveyard?" So we took a drive and looked at the graveyard, and that's when I called you guys and said, "Hey, got another place to investigate." But when I did some research on the graveyard, back in the Apache Wars, the Apaches were very heavily in that area. So that dark entity could be an Apache, could be something from that time.
Sure.
Because the Apache War, that went to the 1920s, didn't it? Wasn't it like 1890 to 1920 or something
I
like
don't
that?
know enough
about
that.
It was in the early 1900s, I know that it ended. So that building was built in the 1930s. So who knows what it was built over?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we don't know
tunnel
what's
could be
under
there.
that ground. And you know what? The building's next door to this antique store. It's not just the fact that the antique store was so energized. It's the fact that where the antique store was, that area had more blood spilled on it from cowboys and Indians than just about any other place in that area except for the battles. The gentleman told me that just across next door, there were 44 cowboys held up in the building, and they were attacked by Comanches, and all 44 cowboys died in that room. So we don't know really what's under that. We could probably find out. I mean,
well, here's what's interesting. As you go down Main Street and you're on that side of the street, you have the Oxbow, you have all those buildings that are on that side. Do you know on the back side of that, there's a ravine that runs the whole way down?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. So it'd be interesting to know what was in that ravine. Obviously, water at one time, but what took place in that back area there.
well, I'm betting there's a tunnel. I mean, you just don't. It said tunnel and drowned and tunnel.
Again, go back to the ravine.
There we
Behind
go.
it,
There's the drown. That's
Right.
where that comes in.
Right. So that's interesting.
We'll have to research that.
Can we get a grant to excavate?
You have a GoFundMe for the Payson
Serendipity dig.
Serendipity Day.
That's a great name. I love that name.
Serendipity.
Oh boy, that was fun though.
What a
That
great
was-
time.
Yeah, it was cool. Very cool. So didn't you and Allison buy some stuff from there?
We tried to. She wouldn't let us pay for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She got some rings. We got the little train.
Yeah, you took
I wanted you to have that train. You saw it first.
That's okay.
I have no problem with it. It was $2. I mean,
I want to know if it's haunted first.
I haven't even touched it since we left.
Yeah,
I don't know
it
where
was
is.
gone before I pulled out the K2, so
Yeah. Tim pocketed it. He was like, "I'm taking this baby home."
I couldn't check it.
I didn't know you'd already claimed it. You can have it.
Oh, it's
It's
okay.
$2.
I got my chargeable
Oh yeah, that was incredible. Generator.
I think it's pretty cool.
A Magneto.
Magneto. I like that
for
name. That's cool.
telephones back in the day to generate the power to get the
Crank.
signal to go, and weighs about what, 30 pounds?
It's freaking heavy.
Yeah, I just remember as a kid, someone, I never saw one. I heard about them, and maybe it was a grandparent just saying how they used to play tricks on people hook them up to chairs, metal chairs.
Oh,
you know,
get out.
And then I sometimes sit down there and go.
Well, weren't the old military phones that they used out in the field? They'd have to crank them up first and then use them. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Pop Alpha.
Yeah.
Imagine how much those things weighed.
Oh God.
Oh man. Those phones alone weighed about 15, 20 pounds.
Everything was made out of cast iron back then.
The generator that generated the power to use that phone probably weighed another 30 pounds.
Took two guys to use the
why
phone.
it took two guys. One guy to carry the generator, one guy to carry the phone. And they were always together. You know, they couldn't even carry a rifle.
Right.
They were so held down. And it was a very important position.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I know a new superhero name. Magneto Man.
Magneto is on X-Men though.
Oh.
He's already taken.
How about
But he didn't have man after him, did he?
No, he didn't have man after him. What did you say?
Serendipity Man.
Serendipity Man. That doesn't sound very...
He's special. He's got special powers.
Okay, now.
Serendipity. Dude-eyed.
Serendipity day.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So if you have any questions or want to visit that place, let us know. We'll tell you where it is.
It really is a great place.
Gotta
There's a
stop
lot
by.
of cool stuff.
Stop by and tell them you saw, the show and you saw us talking about it. And, if you've got the guts to walk back into that little corner, just go ahead and do it. And if you get anything, let us know if you experience anything, because there's no doubt it's there.
Yeah.
It's there for everyone. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be, clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be. I think we all experience
You
that.
can feel it.
Oh yeah, the second you walk into
You don't
that
have
back
to be
room,
special. It's there. You can feel it.
Yeah.
it's just heavy.
And there's no reason to be afraid of it. It can't harm you. It's just
Tell that to Allison.
okay. Sometimes scratching is not necessarily harming. Depends on. We'll get into that. That's another podcast.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yep. There's every time I post
9.2.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Every time I post these on YouTube, I got to click whether it's child friendly, and every one of these, I'm like, nope, not child friendly. Oh man. So then after we got all cleaned up and we decided to head up the road.
After we got all saged.
After we got all saged up, we decided to head down to the cemetery, and I was really excited about that because I really thought it was just going to be nuts.
He called us in the daytime and he said, "Guys, you've got to check this out." We're like, "What?" He goes, "I'm walking through here and I'm just getting name after name after name, and he will be a witness. He has this thing on at his house for hours and he just gets nothing."
Donald.
He's just spitting out names like crazy.
Disrespectful.
We're not being disrespectful. We're here to honor the dead, not disrespect.
Ray.
We're here to look at the beautiful headstones.
Don't go there. Rest in peace.
That's weird.
Are you recording anything?
It's recording. Oh my God.
This thing was just shooting off names. And at one point, they were, and this happened to me. I don't know if it happened to the girls or you guys, but the names were on the stones. Did you see that?
It happened a couple of times, yeah. Yep.
I mean, to me, that wasn't coincidence. But in this one point, I came up and it said angel. I'm like, what? You're an angel now? And it said down. And so I took my flashlight and looked over, and there was this one grave with a little angel at the foot of it, leaning over watching the grave. And then right about that time, it said guardian angel. And I'm like, wow. And so I shine my light from the angel going back up to the headstone. And when I went from the angel I just got away from the angel, and there was a plaque on the ground, and it said Guardian Angel.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And at about that time, that's when I guess someone said Timothy.
On mine,
Yeah,
on my
on
ghost tube,
yours.
it said Timothy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wasn't that far away from you either.
No,
when it said
we were
that.
very close.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, did you hear that? It said angel, it said guardian angel, and then all of a sudden I saw the little plaque said guardian angel, and right after that it said Timothy.
Wow.
I heard the Timothy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But I don't know. But yeah, as we were walking down, they were getting names. I went to every single headstone. I kind of like broke off.
Right,
Went on my own.
right.
And I went to every headstone looking for Alexa. I went up to the front where it listed all the names. I looked for Robert. I looked for Alexa. And I looked for what that guy told me about Greenleaf that was in there.
Right.
Didn't find that at all. Found several unidentified, unknown markers.
Markers, yeah.
And there were actually spots where there are bodies, but there were no headstones. Because I would walk over it, and you could just tell. I mean, some of these headstones have been removed or stolen or looted, but there are bodies in there that don't even have headstones.
Well, I did read a story several years back, and I don't remember where I read this, and forgive me because I don't know all the details on it, but the graveyard was looted, and there was a lot of damage caused to a lot of the headstones at one point. I know the police were involved, and it was,
that would explain it.
Yeah, probably the same guys that drove by and yelled at us.
Yeah, so, but one thing I wanted to say, so if you caught that live feed, you might wonder what happened to everybody. Well, if you can imagine walking into a pitch black, dark room all together, I don't think you're all going to stay together.
No.
In the dark. So once we were in the graveyard, it was just really dark, and we all kind of split up. It was tough sticking together. Because once you get started, like Tim was getting all kinds of action. And hey, I'm going to give a quick shout out again to Amy's Crypt. Her and her husband Jared developed the Ghost Tube.
Yep.
And it's just a fun app to have on your phone if you're going to do any ghost hunting and stuff. So when you hear us talk about that Ghost Tube or names and stuff that are coming up, it's on that app that we're getting those.
Well, we kind of left poor Allison and Lindsay high and dry. They're walking around trying to film for Facebook, and they're like, "Where'd the guys go?"
Right, yeah. Well, we set up the parabolical mic at the kind of the entrance of the graveyard in that area, and just shot it off into the depths of the graveyard. So I kept going back to that to check, put the headphones on, and it's just amazing. I could hear you guys clear at the other end. Just
chomping on flowers.
And this graveyard was huge.
Beautiful.
You drive up to it, it doesn't look that big. You're like, oh, it's a small little cemetery. But
goes
once you're in
way,
there,
way
it goes
back.
way back up on the hill, and it's just crazy. Another point I'll bring out about the Ghost Tube too, Joey. We've been using the Ghost Tube for quite a while now, and it has never, in all the time, we've probably used it for hours. Wouldn't you say we've used it for hours and hours on end at this point? It has never once ever said "rest in peace"
until we were in a graveyard.
Until you're in the graveyard, and it said it over
and that just
over
blew
and
me away.
over and over on all of ours. It was very consistent.
It was very cool.
And then there was a few times it said, "What year is it? Where am I? Why are you here?" And camera. It was, and we were all getting the same hits. I mean, there was no reason for it.
Right.
But I got that a lot. What year is it? That was very interesting. That's the last question I thought I'd hear in there.
And that's an old cemetery too, because that's been around since the late 1800s. So it's got some history to it.
Yeah. So those people are just hanging out, and they don't know what year it is. They kept asking my name.
Yep.
Why are you here?
And I'll give a shout out to the owner, the caretaker of the graveyard. Her name is Mary, and she was
thank you, Mary.
Super sweet when Lindsay talked to her and let us in there. And it's open to the public, but it's closed after 8:00. So we were a little bit concerned that we were going to get in trouble for being in there. So we wanted to make sure we cleared it up with all the authorities and that we were okay to be in there. So,
And it is an exclusive club you have to be in.
Yes.
To be buried in that
30-year
graveyard.
club, isn't it?
Something like that.
25?
25 years.
Yeah.
You have to live there 25 years. So, and that place was packed.
So my dad was telling me, he was talking to me the other day about it, and when we got somebody went to the child's grave, and then there was a World War II soldier who was in there. My dad said he got a really weird vibe when we got to those two graves. He said he had to stop watching because he got just a real weird vibe from it. So it was interesting. It's interesting to see how it affects other people. We're in the thick of it, but to see how it affects everybody else, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we'd still love to hear anybody's comments or ideas that watch the live feed, or after you've, watched this episode where we recap it all. Please leave comments and stuff below, and let us know if you saw something we didn't.
Yeah, please. Absolutely. Yeah, because that's kind of, as tough it is to do the live feeds, because, again, we're still new at this, and we get excited when we get onto these places, and we kind of lose track of what we're doing, and we go off doing our own thing. It's cool to have that audience to be able to see things that we don't see. So it's, we appreciate the feedback from you guys. If you see something we didn't catch, like the lights on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what's good about the live feed is not only do we get to experience, the people watching get to experience.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what entertainment is that? But I'd be curious to know how many people watching got experiences and either didn't tell us or didn't notice or didn't know that they could even get that.
We're still getting comments on it today.
Yeah.
I've seen comments
I saw
on it.
one that was just a few hours ago, yeah.
It's interesting. So people watching it even after the fact are being affected by it. So,
Right.
yeah.
And seeing things we didn't see.
Yeah. What's really cool is that, I think the timing we did this was perfect, because it's going to feed right into our next live episode, which we're going to do on haunted artifacts.
Friday.
Yeah, well, that's the day this will get
Tonight.
released. Tonight. Later on tonight.
Later on tonight.
Yeah, join us for our haunted artifacts.
Yeah, we've got a really, really good show. We've got a lot of interesting artifacts
I'm
to talk
interested
about.
to see what you're going to bring.
Yeah, I'm going to bring some really good stuff. Really good stuff. You're not going to want to miss this. This is great.
Are we going to, well, I kind of feel bad for Joey after
Well,
the doll
just as long as you
episode.
bring the sage along with you.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, we had that little doll here. She didn't bother anybody after we left, did she?
I don't know. She left with those
As
guys,
long as you don't keep what I'm bringing, you're going to be fine. And don't touch it either. Tune in. It's going to be very, very interesting. You're not going to want to miss this.
It'll be awesome.
It'll be fun. It'll be
great.
a lot of fun. We, I do want to give another shout out to AZ Piers, though. And,
Absolutely.
Ghost. They're doing another Hill County in June 13th. So I think we're planning on going up there for that, are we?
I did say I was going.
I think I said I was going too.
You going to go, Tim?
Well, of course I am. When is it?
You are. June 13th. It's a Saturday
Let me
night.
check my calendar. I'm free.
All right.
That's a lot of fun. The Hill County Jail is a lot of fun. We're kind of familiar with the place now, so we have a little bit more freedom to experiment because we already know what the place is about. So really cool. And if you check out AZ Pier's website, they've been putting out some videos of stuff they found over there, and it's pretty cool, some of the evidence that they get. So
That's going to be a great night.
it'll be fun. It's a cool place.
No
It really
doubt.
is. I wish we can get into the courthouse though. They just don't let us in.
Yeah,
there,
they
do
won't.
They won't let us.
You have to be Ghost Adventures.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, we are. We're the truth about beer. Don't they know? Don't they know? We have koozies, damn it. Where should be allowed in these
All right,
places?
tell you
We're
what,
legit now.
Here's what we do. We get in trouble with beer. We have to go to the
We
courthouse.
got to go to the courthouse, exactly.
So there you have it. This has been The Truth About Beer.
And
Terror and Payson.
Oh,
as far as we know,
until next time.
Until next time.
cheers.
Cheers. Wow. So there you have it.
Until next time.
The truth about beer and.
Not yet. Stop.
Oh.
Cut.
All right.
Whoops. Do it again.
So
You'll get the hang of it.
I don't get it.
So
this has been the truth about beer
and Darren Payson.
Strawberry terror.
Welcome to the truth about beer.